The scent of lemon polish and desperation clung to my skin as I scrubbed the marble floor of the Castello Hotel's presidential suite. My knees ached against the cold stone, my hands raw and pruned from hours submerged in chemical water. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, Manhattan glittered like scattered diamonds on black velvet, a world I could see but never touch. I was invisible here, 23 years old, anonymous in my gray uniform. Just another ghost who cleaned up after the wealthy and disappeared before they woke. That's what I told myself every morning when I rode the subway from my shoebox apartment in Queens. When I counted the tips that never quite covered my mother's medical bills, when I pretended this was temporary. It was nearly midnight. The late shift paid extra, and I needed every dollar. I didn't hear him enter. That should have been my first warning. One moment I was alone, humming softly to drown out my thoughts. The next, the air in the room changed, charged, heavy, like the atmosphere before lightning strikes. The scent hit me first. Expensive cologne, cedar, and something darker. Something that made my pulse quicken with instinctive fear. "You missed a spot." The voice came from behind me, low and measured, carrying an accent I couldn't quite place. Italian, maybe, smoothed by years in America. I jerked upright so fast the bucket beside me sloshed, dirty water spreading across the pristine floor I'd just cleaned. He stood in the doorway of the bedroom, backlit by the soft glow from within. Even in silhouette, his power was tangible, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my yearly salary. His dark hair was pushed back from his face, and as he stepped into the light, I caught my first clear look at him. Dangerous. That was the only word my brain could form. He wasn't conventionally handsome. His face was too sharp for that, all severe angles and hard lines, with a scar that cut through his left eyebrow. But his eyes... God, his eyes... Dark as midnight, they pinned me in place like a butterfly to a board, assessing, calculating. A man used to owning everything he looked at. "I'm so sorry, sir. I didn't realize anyone was in the suite." My voice came out shakier than I wanted. The system showed it as vacant. It is vacant. He moved further into the room, and I noticed two things simultaneously. The way he walked, fluid, predatory, each step purposeful, and the bulge of a holster beneath his suit jacket. I don't stay in hotels. I own them. My throat went dry. This was Alessandro Dante. It had to be. I'd heard the whispers among the other maids, seen his photo in the business section of discarded newspapers. Real estate mogul, they called him publicly. But everyone who worked nights knew the truth. The Dante family didn't make their fortune from legitimate business alone. "Mr. Dante, I apologize for the intrusion. I'll finish quickly and... What's your name?" He moved to the bar cart, pouring himself 2 fingers of amber liquid from a crystal decanter. His movements were elegant, controlled. Everything about him was controlled. "Emma. Emma Reeves, sir. Emma." He tasted my name like wine, rolling it on his tongue. "You work the late shift often?" "Yes, sir. I pick up extra hours when I can." "Why?" He turned to face me fully, leaning against the bar with casual grace. But there was nothing casual about the way he watched me. I felt dissected, examined, every secret laid bare under that dark gaze. "My mother is sick. The bills..." I stopped, flushing. Why was I telling him this? I should go. Stay. It wasn't a request. "Finish your work. I want to make a call." He pulled out his phone. No, phones plural. I watched him from the corner of my eye as I returned to cleaning, my movements stiff and self-conscious. He spoke in rapid Italian, his voice dropping to that dangerous quiet that somehow felt more threatening than shouting. I caught words here and there. Tradimento, bastardo, sangue. Betrayal. Bastard. Blood. I scrubbed faster. "You're nervous." His voice made me jump again. He'd moved without sound, and now stood only a few feet away. "Why?" "I'm not nervous, sir." "Don't lie to me, Emma." The way he said my name, intimate, possessive, sent a shiver down my spine. "Your hands are shaking." They were. I pressed them against my thighs, leaving wet prints on my uniform. It's late. I'm tired. He studied me for a long moment, then did something unexpected. He smiled. It transformed his face, made him look younger, almost human. Almost. You should go home. It's not safe for a woman like you to travel alone at this hour. I'll be fine. I take the subway every night. His expression darkened. The subway. He said it like I'd suggested swimming with sharks. What line? The 7 train to... I caught myself. I really should go, Mr. Dante. I'll have my driver take you. No, thank you, I'm fine. It wasn't a suggestion. He pulled out one of his phones, typed something quickly. Marco will be waiting downstairs in 5 minutes. He'll take you wherever you need to go. This was spiraling out of control. Men like Alessandro Dante didn't offer rides to maids. They didn't notice people like me at all. Unless... I have a boyfriend, I blurted out. The lie left my mouth before my brain could stop it. He's waiting for me. He walks me home every night, very protective. Big guy, actually. Used to box. Why was I still talking? Alessandro's expression shifted. Something dark and possessive flashing across his features, before that controlled mask slammed back into place. Does he? Yes. So thank you. But I really don't need a ride. He'd worry if I didn't show up at our usual meeting spot. The lie hung in the air between us, and I watched Alessandro's jaw tighten almost imperceptibly. He set his glass down on the marble counter with deliberate care, the soft clink somehow ominous. What's his name? This boyfriend of yours. My mind went blank. Jake. His name is Jake. Jake. Alessandro rolled the name around like it tasted bitter. And where does Jake work that he's available to walk you home at midnight? He's a... security guard. Night shift, like me. Convenient. His eyes never left mine. Tell me, Emma. Does Jake know how lucky he is? The question felt like a trap. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but my feet stayed rooted to the floor. I should really go. He'll worry. Of course. Alessandro stepped back, giving me space. But somehow the distance felt more threatening than his proximity. Don't let me keep you from Jake. I gathered my supplies with clumsy hands, hyper-aware of his gaze following my every movement. When I reached the door, I couldn't help glancing back. He stood by the window now, silhouetted against the glittering city, a king surveying his domain. Emma. His voice stopped me at the threshold. Be careful going home. The city is full of dangerous men. The way he said it, like a promise and a threat rolled into one, made my blood run cold. I practically ran to the service elevator, my heart hammering against my ribs. What had I done? Why had I lied? I didn't have a boyfriend. I barely had time to sleep, let alone date. But something about Alessandro Dante had triggered every prey instinct in my body, and the lie had seemed like armor, protection from whatever dark interest I'd seen kindle in those midnight eyes. The elevator descended, and I sagged against the wall, letting out a shaky breath. It was fine. He was a busy man. He'd forget about the awkward encounter with a maid within an hour. Men like him didn't remember people like me. I was wrong. I was so wrong. The next morning, I arrived at work to find my supervisor, Mrs. Chen, waiting by the staff entrance. Her expression was unreadable. Emma, there's been a change to your assignment. My stomach dropped. Did I do something wrong? No, dear. Actually, quite the opposite. She handed me a new keycard, fancier than my usual one. You've been personally requested for a long-term private contract. Presidential suite maintenance, exclusive assignment. The pay is... She named a figure that made my knees weak. Triple your current rate, plus benefits and a discretionary bonus. Medical coverage included. Medical coverage. For my mother. Who requested me? But I already knew. The keycard felt like lead in my hand. Mr. Dante himself. Congratulations, Emma. This kind of opportunity doesn't come along every day. Mrs. Chen smiled, oblivious to my dread. You start tonight. Report directly to the presidential suite at 10 p.m. And Emma, don't be late. Mr. Dante is very particular about punctuality. I stood frozen in the gray morning light, clutching the keycard that felt less like an opportunity and more like a golden cage closing around me. In the distance, I could hear the city waking. Sirens, horns, the subway rumbling beneath the street, and somewhere in a penthouse high above, I knew Alessandro Dante was thinking about me, about my lie, about the boyfriend who didn't exist. I'd tried to protect myself with a fiction. Instead, I'd caught the attention of a monster. And monsters, I was about to learn, don't like to share their toys. The presidential suite felt different when I knew he'd be there. I stood outside the door at exactly 10 p.m., my new keycard trembling in my grip, counting my heartbeats. Each one screamed at me to run. I didn't run. I couldn't afford to. The card beeped green. I pushed open the door. The suite was dim, lit only by the glow of the city through those massive windows and a single lamp in the corner. Alessandro sat in a leather armchair facing the door, a glass of whiskey in his hand, watching me with the patience of a predator at a watering hole. You're punctual. I like that. He gestured to the cleaning cart already positioned by the bathroom. Everything you need is there. Take your time. I'll be working. He opened a laptop, and for a moment I dared to hope this would be normal, that I could clean while he worked, and this strange tension would dissipate into routine. I was halfway through scrubbing the bathroom when his voice drifted through the open door. Tell me about Jake. My hand froze on the tile. Sir? Your boyfriend. Jake. He appeared in the doorway, leaning against the frame with casual elegance. In the soft light, he looked younger, maybe early 30s, but those eyes held centuries of darkness, the boxer who walks you home every night. I'm curious. The lie I'd told felt like barbed wire around my throat. There's not much to tell. How long have you been together? 6 months. The number came out automatically, as lies do when you've committed to them. 6 months. He swirled his whiskey, ice clinking against crystal. And he lets you work nights? Alone? Cleaning hotel rooms for men like me? He trusts me. Trust. Alessandro laughed, but there was no humor in it. Do you trust him, Emma? Of course. Then why are you lying? The words hit like a slap. I stood, my knees protesting, backing against the sink. I'm not. Don't. He stepped into the bathroom, and suddenly the space felt microscopic. I've built an empire on knowing when people lie to me. Your tells are obvious, the way your left hand clenches when you say his name, the hesitation before you answer. The fact that your Facebook profile, yes, I looked, shows you single, with no photos of any Jake from here to eternity. Heat flooded my face. He'd looked me up, investigated me. You had no right. I have every right. He set his glass on the counter, the movement controlled despite the intensity radiating from him. You work for me now, Emma, exclusively. I vet everyone in my inner circle. I'm a maid, not your inner circle. You're in my private suite, alone with me. That makes you close enough. He tilted his head, studying me like I was a puzzle. So, tell me the truth. Why did you lie about having a boyfriend? Because you terrified me. Because I felt like prey. Because men like you take what you want. And I needed you to think I belonged to someone else. I don't know. I whispered instead. Yes, you do. He reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away, and caught a strand of my hair that had escaped my bun. The gentleness of the gesture was somehow more unsettling than aggression would have been. You felt it too, that current between us, and it scared you. There's no current. You're my employer, I'm lying again. His thumb brushed my cheek, and I inhaled sharply. His skin was warm, calloused in unexpected places. A man who'd worked with his hands despite the expensive suits, but I'll let it go. For now. Because I'm a patient man, Emma, and I always get what I want eventually. What do you want? The question hung between us, dangerous and electric. Right now, his eyes dropped to my lips. I want you to finish your work. Then I want you to sit with me and have dinner. I can't. I have other rooms. You have this room. Only this room. I've arranged everything with Mrs. Chen. He stepped back, releasing me from whatever spell he'd woven. And before you argue about propriety or whatever excuse you're formulating, know that Marco and Luca are stationed outside this door at all times. You're perfectly safe. Safe from everyone except you, I thought. But I nodded, because what choice did I have? I needed this job, needed the money, needed the medical coverage that could save my mother's life. Alessandro returned to his laptop, and I finished cleaning with shaking hands. When I emerged from the bedroom, I found the dining table set for two. Real china, silver cutlery, covered dishes that smelled like heaven. I didn't know what you liked, he said, removing the covers to reveal an array of Italian dishes. So I ordered everything: pasta with truffle sauce, veal marsala, risotto that gleamed like pearls, caprese salad with tomatoes so red they looked jeweled, fresh bread, still warm, with olive oil for dipping. My stomach growled audibly, betraying me. Alessandro smiled. Sit. I sat because I was starving, because the food smelled incredible, because refusing felt more dangerous than accepting. He served me himself, piling my plate high, pouring wine I didn't drink. Eat, Emma. You're too thin. I'm fine. You're exhausted and malnourished. I can see it in your face, the shadows under your eyes. When did you last have a proper meal? I couldn't remember. This morning. Another lie. But eat now. Please. I picked up my surprised me, took a bite of the pasta, and nearly moaned. It was perfect. Creamy, rich, the truffle earthy and decadent. I hadn't tasted anything this good in years. Alessandro watched me eat with satisfaction that felt almost possessive. He barely touched his own food, seemingly content to observe me devouring mine. Tell me about your mother, he said finally. What's wrong with her? Stage 3 breast cancer. She needs treatments we can't afford, even with payment plans. The insurance I had through my other job barely covered anything before they dropped her for pre-existing conditions. The bitterness leaked through despite my attempt to stay neutral. That's why you work 3 jobs. 2 now, I guess, since this is exclusive. Emma. He leaned forward, elbows on the table, giving me his complete attention in a way that felt overwhelming. I'm going to make you an offer. My fork stopped halfway to my mouth. Mr. Dante? Alessandro. When we're alone, call me Alessandro. That's not appropriate. Nothing about this situation is appropriate. But here we are. He pulled out his phone, the black one, not the silver, and typed something. I'm going to pay for your mother's treatments. All of them. The best doctors, the best facilities, whatever she needs. The room tilted. What? You heard me. Why? Suspicion flooded through the initial shock. What do you want in return? Your time, your company, your truth. He met my eyes steadily. I want you here. Every night. Not cleaning. I don't actually give a damn if this place is spotless. I want you to have dinner with me. Talk to me. Let me know you. You want to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars just to talk to me? Yes. That's insane. Perhaps. He smiled slightly. But I'm a man who knows what he wants, and I'm willing to pay for it. Consider it a courtship investment. Courtship? The word felt archaic, impossible. You don't even know me. I know enough. I know you're brave enough to work 3 jobs for someone you love. I know you're terrible at lying, but did it anyway because you felt threatened. I know you have fire underneath that exhaustion, and I want to see it burn. He paused. And I know you don't have a boyfriend named Jake. How can you be sure? Because if you did, I would have already found him and made it clear you're not available anymore. The casual menace in his tone should have terrified me. Instead, something darker stirred. A treacherous thrill at being wanted with such intensity. This is crazy, I whispered. Yes. Do you accept? I should have said no. Should have walked out, found another job, figured something else out. But my mother's face flashed through my mind. Gaunt, gray, fading a little more each day. The medical bills stacked on my kitchen counter. The collection calls I ignored because I had no answers. If I say yes, I started carefully. What exactly are the terms? Just dinner and conversation? For now, his eyes glittered with something predatory. I won't touch you unless you ask me to. You have my word. And if I want to leave? If I change my mind? Your mother's treatments continue regardless. I'm not a monster, Emma, despite what you might think. But I believe once you know me, you won't want to leave. The arrogance should have repulsed me. Instead, it fascinated me, this supreme confidence, this complete certainty that he could make me want him. 1 month, I heard myself say. Give me 1 month to decide if I want to continue this arrangement. 1 month. He extended his hand across the table. Do we have a deal? I looked at his hand, large, scarred across the knuckles. A hand that had built empires and probably destroyed enemies. A hand that could save my mother's life. I took it. His fingers closed around mine, warm and possessive. And something passed between us. A current, undeniable and dangerous. He lifted my hand to his lips, pressed a kiss to my knuckles that burned like a brand. Mine, he murmured against my skin. You're mine now, Emma. And God help me. A part of me thrilled at the claim. The black Mercedes arrived at my apartment building the next morning at 7 a.m. I stared at it from my window, coffee growing cold in my hands, watching Marco, Alessandro's driver, wait patiently by the rear door. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Your mother has an appointment at Sloan Kettering at 9 a.m. Dr. Patricia Chen, the best oncologist in New York. Marco will drive you both. Don't be late. My hands shook. He'd already started. Less than 12 hours after our deal, and he was already weaving his web around my life. Another text. And Emma? Wear something other than your uniform. I'm taking you to dinner tonight. Somewhere that requires a dress. I looked at my closet. A sad collection of thrift store finds and worn basics. Nothing appropriate for wherever Alessandro Dante considered dinner. A third text, as if he could read my mind. Check your door. I opened it to find garment bags, 3 of them, hanging from my doorknob. Designer labels I'd only seen in magazines. Dresses that probably cost more than my monthly rent. A card tucked into the first bag. Choose whichever makes you feel beautiful. Though you could wear rags and still outshine every woman in New York. I should have been insulted. Should have felt bought, owned, manipulated. Instead, I ran my fingers over the silk of a midnight blue dress and wondered what I'd just sold my soul for, and whether the price would be worth it. Sloan Kettering smelled like antiseptic and hope. I sat in the waiting room, my mother's frail hand in mine, trying to process the last 2 hours. The intake had been seamless, no questions about insurance, no forms asking how we'd pay. Just efficiency, respect, and the immediate attention that money apparently bought. Emma, sweetheart, how did you arrange this? My mother's voice was thin, worn down by months of pain. Dr. Chen is supposed to have a 2-year waiting list. I couldn't tell her the truth. Couldn't explain that I'd made a deal with a man who terrified and fascinated me in equal measure, who'd somehow inserted himself into my life like he'd always belonged there. I got a new position, I said carefully. Better benefits. They pulled some strings. She squeezed my hand, tears glistening in her eyes. I'm so proud of you, baby. So proud. Guilt twisted in my stomach. What would she think if she knew that her daughter had agreed to spend her evenings with a man whose last name was synonymous with organized crime, whose dark eyes promised both protection and possession? Dr. Chen called us back, and for the next hour, I listened to words like aggressive treatment protocol and promising prognosis, and we caught it just in time. My mother cried. I cried. And somewhere in a penthouse across the city, Alessandro Dante had probably already moved on to his next acquisition, his next power play. Except he hadn't. When we emerged from the appointment, Marco was waiting, holding the car door open, but he wasn't alone. Alessandro stood beside the Mercedes, hands in his pockets, looking impossibly out of place against the hospital's stark facade in his 3-piece suit. My mother froze. Emma? Who is that? My employer, I managed. Mr. Dante, you didn't have to. I wanted to meet the woman who raised someone so remarkable. He approached us with that fluid grace, extending his hand to my mother. Mrs. Reeves, it's an honor. I'm Alessandro Dante. My mother took his hand, visibly flustered. Even diminished by illness, she recognized power when she saw it. Mr. Dante, I don't know how to thank you for what you've done. The doctors, this facility, your daughter's work ethic and dedication have been invaluable to my organization. This is simply ensuring her peace of mind so she can continue to excel. The lie rolled off his tongue smoothly, practiced. Please, let Marco drive you home. Emma will be along later. We have some business to discuss. It wasn't a request. My mother looked between us, confusion and concern flickering across her face, but she was exhausted, wrung out from the appointment, and the comfortable car beckoned. All right. Emma, call me later. I will, Mom. I promise. I watched Marco help her into the Mercedes, watched it pull away into traffic, and then I was alone with Alessandro on a busy Manhattan sidewalk, people flowing around us like water around stones. You didn't need to come here, I said quietly. I wanted to see you. He touched my elbow, guiding me toward a different car, a black Audi with tinted windows, another driver waiting, and I wanted to make sure the appointment went well. Why do you care? Because you care, and what affects you affects me now. He opened the door himself, waiting. Get in, Emma. We have several hours before dinner and there's something I need to show you. Every instinct screamed danger. But I slid into the leather interior anyway, and Alessandro settled beside me, close enough that I could feel his body heat, smell that cedar and darkness scent that seemed to cling to him. Where are we going? You'll see. We drove through Manhattan, then over the bridge into Brooklyn. The neighborhoods grew progressively rougher, the buildings more worn, until we pulled up in front of a community center that had seen better decades. Alessandro's security detail materialized from another vehicle. 4 men, all built like walls, all watching the street with predatory awareness. This wasn't his world, I realized. This was enemy territory, or close enough to make him cautious. Stay close to me, he said softly, his hand finding the small of my back. Inside, the center buzzed with activity. Kids played basketball on a worn court. Teenagers clustered around computers in a study room. And in the back, I could see a food pantry where volunteers distributed groceries to a line of tired-looking families. I don't understand, I said. Why are we here? Because you think I'm a monster. Alessandro's voice was matter-of-fact. And you're not entirely wrong, but I'm not only that. A woman emerged from an office, 50-something, with kind eyes and graying hair pulled back in a practical bun. Her face lit up when she saw Alessandro. Alex, you didn't tell me you were coming today. She hugged him, unself-conscious. And I watched in fascination as Alessandro returned the embrace with genuine warmth. Sister Margaret, I wanted to bring someone to see the center. This is Emma Reeves. Emma, welcome, welcome. Sister Margaret's handshake was firm. Alex has told me about you. He has? I shot him a look. I told her I'd found someone who reminded me why this place matters. Alessandro's dark eyes held mine. Sister Margaret runs this center. It provides after-school programs, job training, food assistance, and safe spaces for kids in the neighborhood. Kids like I used to be. Sister Margaret smiled. Alex doesn't like to talk about where he came from, but he's never forgotten. This center was going to close 5 years ago. The city pulled funding. Alex bought the building, established a trust, and now we can help 3 times as many families. I looked at Alessandro with new eyes. You did this? Everyone deserves a chance to be more than their circumstances. Something haunted flickered across his face. I didn't have that growing up. My father was a drunk who beat my mother. We lived in places that made your apartment look like a palace. If it hadn't been for a place like this, for people who saw potential instead of poverty, he trailed off. Let's just say I wouldn't be here. And the other part? I asked quietly. The part that's not community centers and charity? His jaw tightened. Also necessary. The world isn't black and white, Emma. Sometimes you have to become a monster to protect what matters. Sister Margaret tactfully excused herself, leaving us alone in the hallway. Through the window, I could see kids laughing, playing, safe. All because of the man standing beside me. The man whose business card probably should have read, Crime Lord, but who'd somehow found a way to balance darkness and light. You're trying to make me understand you, I said. I'm trying to make you see me. All of me. Not just the parts that scare you. He turned to face me fully, and in the harsh fluorescent light, he looked younger, almost vulnerable. I'm not asking you to approve of everything I do, Emma, but I'm asking you to recognize that I'm more than one thing. We all are. Why does it matter what I think? Because... He stopped. something raw crossing his features, because when I saw you in that suite, on your knees, working yourself to death for someone you love, I saw echoes of my mother, of every woman who's had to break herself to survive. And I wanted to give you what no one gave her. A choice. A way out. A chance to breathe. And possess me in the process? Yes. No apology in his tone. I won't pretend I'm selfless. I want you, Emma. I've wanted you from the moment you looked at me with those frightened eyes and lied about having a boyfriend. But I want you to choose this. Choose me. Not because you're desperate, but because you want to. That's not a fair choice. You're paying for my mother's treatment. The treatment continues regardless. I told you that. He stepped closer, and my back hit the wall. But I'm hoping you'll stay anyway. Hoping you'll see past the fear to what else is there. And what's there? My voice came out breathless, something neither of us expected. His hand came up, cupping my face with surprising gentleness. Something that scares me as much as it scares you. Before I could respond, one of his security team appeared at the end of the hallway, his posture tense. Boss, we need to move. Volkov's men were spotted 2 blocks over. Alessandro's entire demeanor shifted, from vulnerable to lethal in a heartbeat. Get Emma to the car, now. What's happening? I asked as a guard gripped my arm, not roughly but firmly. Nothing you need to worry about. Alessandro was already walking toward the front entrance, his hand going to something beneath his jacket. Marco will take you home. I'll see you tonight for dinner. Alessandro. He looked back, and the smile he gave me was sharp as a blade. Don't worry, Cara. This is just business. I'll be fine. I was hustled into the Audi before I could protest, the door slamming shut. Through the tinted window, I watched Alessandro confer with his men, watched them move into defensive positions, watched him transform into exactly what the world thought he was. A predator, dangerous and lethal. The car pulled away, and I craned my neck to keep watching until we turned the corner and he disappeared from view. My phone buzzed. A text from him. The blue dress. Wear the blue one tonight. It will match your eyes when you're angry with me. Despite everything, the fear, the confusion, the moral ambiguity of this entire situation, I smiled. And that's when I knew I was in real trouble. I stood in my tiny bathroom, staring at my reflection in the mirror. The blue dress fit like it had been made for me, which it probably had been, somehow, in the 12 hours since he'd delivered it. Silk that whispered against my skin, a neckline that was modest but hinted at curves I usually hid, a hem that ended just above my knees. I looked like someone else, someone who belonged in Alessandro's world. My phone buzzed. Marco is downstairs. Are you ready? No, I wasn't ready. I'd never be ready for what was happening, for the way this man had invaded my life and rearranged all the pieces. But I grabbed the matching clutch he'd provided, checked that my mother was settled for the evening, already drowsy from the new pain medication Dr. Chen had prescribed, and headed downstairs. The restaurant was in Tribeca, all exposed brick and soft lighting, the kind of place where you needed a reservation months in advance, but Alessandro was already there when I arrived, standing as I approached the table, his eyes darkening as he took in the dress. Bellissima, he murmured, taking my hand and kissing it. I knew that color would be perfect on you. A waiter appeared immediately, pouring wine, reciting specials I didn't process. I was too aware of Alessandro across from me, of the way his gaze never left my face, of the intensity that seemed to crackle between us. Did everything go okay? I asked. Earlier, with the Volkov situation, his expression hardened briefly. Nothing for you to worry about. It's handled. You can't just do that, drop hints about danger and then shut me out. Can't I? But there was amusement in his eyes now. Very well. Dmitry Volkov runs the Russian operations in Brighton Beach. We have a complicated history. He's been encroaching on territory that isn't his, and I needed to remind him of boundaries. Remind him how? Do you really want to know, Emma? I thought about it. Did I? Could I reconcile this man, who bought dresses and paid for cancer treatments and ran community centers, with whatever violence the answer might contain? No, I admitted finally. Not yet. Honest. Good. He reached across the table, his fingers tracing patterns on my wrist. Ask me something else. Anything else. Why me? And don't give me that line about seeing your mother in me. There are thousands of struggling women in New York. Why am I different? He was quiet for a long moment, his thumb still moving against my pulse point, probably feeling how fast my heart raced. You want the truth? Always. I don't know. The admission seemed to cost him. I've been with beautiful women, powerful women, women who understood my world and wanted into it. But you, when you looked at me with fear and then lied to protect yourself, something in me woke up, something possessive and primitive that I didn't know I had. I wanted to be the one you ran to instead of from, wanted to be your safety instead of your threat. That's not healthy. No, it's not, but it's true. His eyes held mine. I'm not a good man, Emma, but I could be good for you, good to you, if you let me. The waiter returned with our food, breaking the spell. We ate, and Alessandro steered the conversation to safer topics: books, movies, my mother's prognosis. He was charming when he wanted to be, attentive, asking questions that suggested he genuinely cared about the answers. But underneath it all, that current hummed, that awareness, that sense that we were both standing at the edge of something vast and dangerous, trying to decide whether to jump. Dessert arrived. Tiramisu. Rich and perfect. Alessandro fed me a bite from his fork, and the intimacy of the gesture felt more shocking than a kiss. Come home with me tonight, he said quietly. My breath caught. Alessandro. Not for that. Not yet. His eyes were earnest. I just want you near me. Want to talk more, away from curious eyes. I promise I won't push. Won't touch you unless you ask. I don't think that's a good idea. Probably not, but come anyway. I should have said no. Should have maintained boundaries, kept distance, protected myself from whatever this was becoming. Instead, I heard myself whisper, okay. His smile was victorious and tender all at once, and as he helped me into my coat, his hand lingering at my waist, I wondered if I'd just made the best or worst decision of my life. Alessandro's penthouse occupied the entire top floor of a building in the financial district. The elevator required a fingerprint scan and a code, and when the doors opened directly into his living space, I understood why he needed that level of security. The place was a fortress disguised as luxury. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city, but I noticed they were bulletproof, the glass too thick, the frames reinforced, cameras in every corner, discreet but visible if you knew to look. A state-of-the-art security panel by the elevator. And everywhere, that sense of controlled power that seemed to emanate from Alessandro himself. Your home is beautiful, I said, stepping onto marble floors that probably cost more than most houses. It's secure. He shrugged off his jacket, and I tried not to notice how the holster strapped across his chest made him look both dangerous and devastatingly attractive. Beauty is secondary to safety in my world. He caught me staring at the gun and smiled slightly. Does it bother you? Should it? Most women would find it alarming. Most women probably aren't standing in a crime lord's penthouse at midnight. The words came out sharper than I intended, exhaustion and wine making me reckless. Alessandro's expression shifted, something pleased and predatory. Say it again. What? Crime lord. You've been dancing around it all evening, calling me your employer, Mr. Dante. Anything but what I actually am. He moved closer, and I held my ground. I like hearing the truth from your lips. Fine, you're a criminal. You hurt people. You break laws. You're everything I should be running from. My heart hammered. Does that make you happy? Yes. He was close enough now that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. Because you're still here, knowing exactly what I am, and you're still here. For my mother. Lie to yourself if you need to, Kara. But you're here because you want to be, because whatever this is between us terrifies and fascinates you in equal measure. His hand came up, fingers threading through my hair, because when I look at you, you feel seen in a way you never have before. He was right, and I hated it. Hated how he could read me so easily. How he'd somehow mapped all my vulnerabilities in just a few days. I should go home, I whispered. But I didn't move. You should. His thumb traced my lower lip. But you won't. Not yet. The tension stretched between us, taut as a wire. Then Alessandro stepped back, releasing me, and the loss of his proximity felt physical. Come. I want to show you something. He led me through the penthouse to a room I hadn't expected, a library, warm and lived in despite the luxury surrounding it. Books lined every wall, floor to ceiling, leather-bound and paperback mixed together without pretension. A fire crackled in the fireplace, and 2 oversized chairs sat angled toward it. This is where I spend most of my time when I'm home, Alessandro said, pouring 2 glasses of whiskey from a decanter on the side table. Everything else is for show, for meetings, for the version of myself I have to be. But this room is mine. I accepted the glass he offered, sinking into one of the chairs. The leather was buttery soft, worn in places from use. You read. Surprised? A little. I didn't picture you as someone who sits quietly with books. I'm full of contradictions, Emma. You'll learn that. He settled in the other chair, and for a moment, we just sat in comfortable silence, watching the flames dance. My mother taught me to read. She only made it through 6th grade herself, but she believed education was the way out. She'd bring home books from the library, and we'd read together every night. It was our escape from my father, from the violence, from poverty. What happened to her? I asked softly. His face went hard. My father killed her when I was 14, beat her to death in a drunken rage over dinner being cold. He took a long drink. I killed him 3 days later, made it look like a robbery gone wrong. The cops didn't look too hard. One less drunk abuser in the world, you know? The casual way he said it should have horrified me. Instead, I felt a surge of sympathy for the 14-year-old boy who'd had to become a killer to survive. I'm sorry, I said inadequately. Don't be. It made me what I am. After that, I had nothing to lose. Started running errands for the Dante family. They controlled this territory even then. I was smart, ruthless, and I learned fast. By the time I was 25, I'd eliminated everyone between me and the top. Took the name Dante legally. Made it mine. Built everything you see from blood and violence and sheer will. And the community center, Sister Margaret? My mother's dream. She used to say that if she ever got money, she'd open a place where kids could be safe, could learn, could become something better. His voice roughened. I couldn't give her that dream, but I could make it real in her memory. I set down my glass and moved to kneel in front of his chair, my hands on his knees. His eyes widened slightly at the contact. You're not a monster, Alessandro, I said firmly. Monsters don't mourn. They don't build community centers. They don't cry for their mothers. I haven't cried since the day I buried her. You don't have to cry to grieve. I squeezed his knees. And you don't have to be only one thing. You can be violent and gentle, criminal and charitable, dangerous and kind. He stared at me for a long moment, something raw and vulnerable in his expression. Then his hands came up, framing my face, and he leaned down until our foreheads touched. You're going to destroy me, he whispered. Completely unmake everything I've built to protect myself. Or maybe I'll just let you be human again. He kissed me then. Not the claiming, possessive kiss I'd expected, but something tender and searching, like he was asking a question. I answered by rising up on my knees, my hands sliding into his hair, kissing him back with everything I'd been fighting since the moment we met. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Alessandro rested his forehead against mine again. Stay tonight, he said. Sleep in my guest room, or in my bed. I don't care which. I just need to know you're here, safe, where I can protect you. Protect me from what? His jaw tightened. From the consequences of being mine. Because make no mistake, Emma, everyone in my world now knows you're important to me. That makes you a target. Fear spiked through me. What are you talking about? The Volkovs saw us together at the community center. By now, every family in New York knows Alessandro Dante has found someone he cares about. Someone he's vulnerable for. He stood, pulling me to my feet. I have security on your mother's hospital, on your apartment building, on every route between here and there, but the safest place for you is here, with me. You can't just decide that. I have a life that puts you on subway platforms at midnight, walking through neighborhoods where my enemies could snatch you up without anyone noticing. His hands gripped my shoulders. I won't let that happen. I won't lose someone else He stopped abruptly. Someone else you what? My heart pounded. Care about. But his eyes said more. Said things neither of us was ready to voice. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. The black one. Alessandro's expression went cold as he read the message. What is it? Nothing. Business. But his thumb was already flying over the screen, typing rapid-fire messages. Alessandro, Luca will show you to the guest room. Get some rest. We'll talk in the morning. He was already moving toward his office, the wall slamming back up between us. Don't shut me out. Not after everything you just told me. He paused at the doorway, his back to me. There's a difference between sharing my past and dragging you into my present. The past can't hurt you, the present. He looked back, and his eyes were haunted. Stay in the guest room, Emma. Lock the door. And no matter what you hear tonight, don't come out until I come for you in the morning. Then he was gone, and Luca appeared as if summoned, his expression carefully neutral, as he led me down a hallway to a bedroom that was bigger than my entire apartment. Is he in danger? I asked Luca. The man's face remained impassive. Mr. Dante is always in some form of danger, Miss Reeves. It's the nature of his position. But he's also the most dangerous man in this city when he needs to be. He'll be fine. He left me alone with that reassurance, which wasn't reassuring at all. I should have been exhausted. Instead, I lay in the king-sized bed, wearing one of Alessandro's t-shirts that I'd found in the bathroom, staring at the ceiling and listening to the muffled sounds filtering through the walls. Voices. Movement. At one point, something that might have been a gunshot, though it was hard to tell through the soundproofing. Around 3 a.m. I heard shouting in Italian, Alessandro's voice raised in fury. Then silence, heavy and ominous. I waited, hands fisted in the sheets, fighting the urge to go to him. When my door finally opened, I sat up with a gasp. Alessandro stood silhouetted in the doorway, and even in the darkness, I could see the tension in his frame. Are you hurt? I asked. No. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. But Can I just sit with you? I won't touch you. I just need to be near something good right now. I pulled back the covers in answer. He sat on the edge of the bed, still fully dressed, his head dropping into his hands. In the moonlight filtering through the curtains, I could see his knuckles were split and bleeding. What happened? I reached for his hands, examining the damage. Someone betrayed me. Someone close. I had to make an example. His voice was hollow. I had to do things that would make you sick if you knew the details. Hey. I forced him to look at me. I'm not going to pretend to understand your world or the choices you have to make, but I'm also not going to judge you for surviving in it. You should. You should be disgusted. I'm not. I pulled him down beside me, and after a moment's hesitation, he lay back against the pillows, rigid with tension. Tell me about your mother. Tell me something happy. He was quiet so long I thought he wouldn't answer. Then softly, she used to sing while she cooked. Old Italian songs her grandmother taught her. Her voice wasn't particularly good, but it filled our tiny apartment with something beautiful. Something that made the cracks in the walls and the roaches and the violence seem bearable. What was her name? Lucia. It means light. His voice cracked slightly. She was my light. And when she died, everything went dark. Until... He turned his head to look at me, and in his eyes, I saw everything he wasn't saying. Until a woman in a gray uniform looked at me with fear and lied about having a boyfriend, and something in me started to feel alive again. My breath caught. Alessandro, I know it's too fast. I know you barely know me. I know I have no right to feel this way. His hand found mine in the darkness, lacing our fingers together. But I'm falling for you, Emma, have been since that first night, and it terrifies me more than any enemy ever could. I should have pulled away, should have maintained distance, should have remembered all the reasons this was impossible. Instead, I shifted closer, resting my head on his shoulder. I'm scared too. Of me. of this, of how much I don't want to leave, of how right it feels to be here with you. Despite everything logic tells me, I felt his arm come around me, holding me close. I've known you 3 days, Alessandro. 3 days. This is insane. Yes. He pressed a kiss to my hair, but sometimes the most profound things happen in an instant. Recognition, connection. Knowing that your life just divided into before and after this moment. We lay there in the darkness, neither of us sleeping, both of us clinging to something we couldn't name, but couldn't deny. Outside, the city hummed with life, unaware that in this penthouse fortress, a crime lord and a maid were rewriting all the rules about who they were supposed to be. Around dawn, I felt Alessandro relax into sleep, his breathing evening out, his grip on me loosening slightly. I stayed awake, watching the sky lighten, feeling the steady beat of his heart against my cheek. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that I was in love with him. It was too soon, too fast, too impossible, and completely, irrevocably true. When Alessandro woke an hour later, his eyes finding mine immediately, I saw the same realization reflected there. That terrifying, exhilarating knowledge that something had shifted between us in the night, that we'd crossed a line there was no uncrossing. Emma, he started. I kissed him, stopping the words, stopping the fear, stopping everything but this moment. He responded immediately, rolling to pin me beneath him, his weight grounding and perfect. The kiss deepened, turning desperate, months of loneliness and years of emptiness pouring between us. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Alessandro's forehead dropped to mine. "Tell me this is real," he whispered. "Tell me I'm not imagining this." "It's real." I traced his face, the scar through his eyebrow, the sharp line of his jaw, the lips that could command empires and kiss with devastating tenderness. "I don't understand it, but it's real. I need you to understand something." His eyes held mine, intense and unwavering. "If you choose this, choose me. My world will become your world. My enemies will become your enemies. I'll protect you with everything I have, but I can't promise you'll always be safe. I can only promise I'll die before I let anyone hurt you. That's not reassuring. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be honest." He cupped my face in his scarred hands. "I'm giving you one more chance to walk away, Emma. After this, you're mine completely. And I'm a possessive, jealous, overprotective bastard who won't share well with anyone, not even your independence." I should have been insulted by the arrogance, should have asserted my autonomy, my right to choose my own path. Instead, I pulled him down for another kiss and whispered against his lips, "Then stop giving me chances to leave and make me yours already." His smile was fierce and tender all at once. "As you wish, il mio cuore. As you wish." 3 weeks later, I stood in Alessandro's penthouse wearing one of his shirts and nothing else, watching the sun rise over Manhattan while he conducted business in his office. My coffee had gone cold, but I didn't move to reheat it. I was too busy marveling at how completely my life had transformed. My mother was thriving. The treatments were working, her color returning, her strength rebuilding day by day. She'd moved into a comfortable apartment Alessandro owned. "Empty anyway," he'd said, as if luxury 2 bedrooms in Midtown were just lying around unused. She asked fewer questions now, choosing to accept the miracle of her recovery rather than examine its source too closely. I'd quit my other jobs. Alessandro had been furious when he found out I was still working at a diner during the day, risking exhaustion and exposure. We'd fought about it, our first real fight, and I'd learned that his protective instincts bordered on obsessive, but I'd also learned that he'd listen, eventually, when I explained that I needed some form of independence, something that was mine alone. We'd compromised. I enrolled in online classes, working toward the degree I'd abandoned when my mother got sick. Alessandro paid for it without blinking, just added it to the list of things he gave me freely. Safety, comfort, education, a future I'd stopped believing I could have. And in return, I gave him something he'd never had. A home. The penthouse felt different now, warmer. I'd added plants to the stark spaces, books I liked to his library, music that filled the silence. I cooked for him when he'd let me, fought with him when he was being autocratic, loved him with an intensity that sometimes scared me. Because I did love him. Completely. Irrevocably. The man who could be ruthless in business and tender in bed, who ran an empire built on violence but donated millions to children's charities anonymously, who'd killed his first man at 14 and cried in his sleep sometimes, calling for his mother. You're thinking too loudly. I turned to find Alessandro leaning against the doorway, watching me with those dark eyes that still made my breath catch. He'd showered after his call, his hair damp, wearing only pajama pants that rode low on his hips. 3 weeks together, and the sight of him still made heat pool in my stomach, just reflecting on how insane my life has become, I said. Regrets? He moved toward me with that predatory grace, sliding his arms around my waist from behind. Not a single one. I leaned back against his chest. How did the call go? The Volkovs have agreed to a sit-down. Neutral territory. Next week. He pressed a kiss to my neck. It's progress. And the traitor? His arms tightened slightly. Dealt with. You don't need details. I'd learned not to push on matters like this. There were parts of Alessandro's world I couldn't touch, wouldn't understand, and probably didn't want to know. He protected me from the worst of it, and I let him, because some truths would poison what we'd built. I need to tell you something, he said quietly. My stomach clenched. That sounds ominous. Not ominous, just important. He turned me to face him, his expression serious. I've been thinking about the future, our future. Alessandro, let me finish. His hands framed my face. I know we haven't been together long. I know by conventional standards this is too fast, too intense, too everything. But I've never been conventional, and neither is what we have. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. My heart stopped. I'm not proposing, he said quickly, seeing my expression. Not yet. I know you'd say no, that you'd need more time, more certainty, and I respect that. He opened the box to reveal a ring, white gold with a single sapphire, elegant and understated. But I want you to have this. It's a promise, a claim, a statement to my world that you're under my protection, that you belong to me as much as I belong to you. Alessandro. Tears burned my eyes. You don't have to wear it if you don't want to. I won't pressure you, but I need you to know that I'm in this completely, that I see a future with you, marriage, children if you want them, growing old together. His voice roughened. I see forever, Emma. And it terrifies and exhilarates me in equal measure. I looked at the ring, then at the man offering it, this beautiful, damaged, dangerous man who'd somehow become my everything in 3 short weeks. Put it on me, I whispered. His hand shook slightly as he slid the ring onto my finger. It fit perfectly, the sapphire catching the morning light. It's not an engagement ring, he said again. It's a promise that one day when you're ready, I'll ask you properly. On my knees, with the ring you deserve, in front of everyone who matters. But until then, I kissed him, stopping the words, pouring everything I felt into the contact. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, I touched his face gently. I love you, I said, the first time I'd said it aloud, though I'd shown it in 1,000 small ways. I love you, Alessandro Dante, with all your contradictions and complications. I love your darkness and your light. I love who you are and who you're trying to become. He closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, they were suspiciously bright. Say it again. I love you. Again. I love you. I love you. I love you. I peppered his face with kisses between each declaration. I'll say it as many times as you need to hear it. Forever wouldn't be enough. He lifted me effortlessly, my legs wrapping around his waist. I love you, il mio cuore. My heart. My light. My reason for wanting to be better than I am. He carried me to the bedroom, and we spent the morning proving our promises in the oldest way possible, with touch and whispers and the kind of intimacy that went beyond physical. Later, wrapped in sheets with Alessandro's arm around me, I watched him sleep. The hard lines of his face had softened, making him look younger, almost peaceful. I traced the scars on his chest, each one a story, A battle, a piece of the man I loved. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, a text from my mother. The doctor says I'm in remission. Emma, I'm in remission. Come celebrate with me. I pressed a hand to my mouth, tears streaming down my face. Alessandro stirred, immediately alert. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I showed him the message. Everything's right. Everything's so perfectly, impossibly right. He pulled me close, kissing my tears away. She's going to be okay. Because of you. All of this is because of you. No, Kara. This is because of us. Because you were brave enough to take a chance on a monster who wanted to be a man again. We visited my mother that afternoon, and her joy was infectious. She looked better than I'd seen her in years. Color in her cheeks, light in her eyes, the specter of death finally retreating. She noticed the ring immediately. Emma? She caught my hand, examining the sapphire. Is this a promise? Alessandro said before I could answer. That I intend to love your daughter for the rest of my life, with your permission. My mother looked between us, her eyes shrewd despite her illness. You're not what I would have chosen for her. I know. You're dangerous. Your world is violent. Yes. But you love her. It wasn't a question. More than my own life. She studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Then you have my blessing. But Alessandro Dante, if you ever hurt my daughter, I don't care how powerful you are. I will find a way to make you pay. He smiled. Genuine. Respectful. I wouldn't expect anything less, Mrs. Reeves. And I give you my word. I'll protect her, cherish her, and love her until my last breath. See that you do. But she was smiling now too, reaching out to squeeze his hand. Welcome to the family. The Volkov meeting happened on a Wednesday. Alessandro tried to leave me behind, but I'd insisted on coming, at least to wait in the car. He'd fought about it, his protective instincts clashing with my refusal to be sheltered completely. You can't keep me in a bubble, I'd argued. I need to understand your world if I'm going to be part of it. Understanding and exposure are different things. Then let me observe from a distance. Let me see what you deal with so I can support you better. He'd finally agreed, with conditions. I stayed in the armored Mercedes, surrounded by guards, several blocks from the actual meeting. If anything went wrong, Marco had orders to get me to safety immediately. I watched Alessandro walk into the restaurant, flanked by Luca and 3 other men. He'd dressed for war, all black, his bearing radiating lethal authority. This was the Alessandro Dante the world feared, the crime lord who ruled New York's underworld with an iron fist, and he was mine. The meeting lasted 2 hours. I read, checked my phone, tried not to imagine worst-case scenarios. Marco and the other guards remained vigilant, scanning the street constantly. When Alessandro finally emerged, I searched his face for clues. He looked tired but satisfied, and when he slid into the car beside me, he pulled me immediately into his arms. It's done, he said. We have a truce. Territory lines redrawn, agreements on mutual non-interference. That's good, right? That's survival. In my world, peace is always temporary, but it's something. He pressed a kiss to my temple. Thank you for being here, for waiting. It helps, knowing you're near. Always, I promised. Wherever you need me to be. 6 months later, I stood in front of a mirror in the bedroom of Alessandro's, our penthouse, staring at my reflection in disbelief. The pregnancy test in my hand showed 2 pink lines. We'd been careful, mostly. But there'd been that weekend in the Hamptons, and the night after he'd closed the deal with the Volkovs, and a dozen other times when passion had overridden caution. And now, Emma? Alessandro's voice came from the other room. I'm home early. Are you hungry? I opened the bathroom door, still holding the test. He took one look at my face, at what I held, and froze. Is that positive? My voice shook. I'm pregnant, Alessandro. For a moment, he didn't move. Then he crossed the room in 3 strides, dropping to his knees in front of me, his hands on my still flat stomach. Dio mio, he breathed. A baby, our baby. "Are you happy?" I asked, suddenly uncertain. We never really talked about happy. He looked up at me, and his eyes were wet. "Emma, I'm terrified and overwhelmed, and more grateful than I've ever been in my life. You're giving me a family, a real family, something I never thought I'd have. So, we're doing this? We're doing everything." He stood, lifting me into his arms. "We're getting married. Properly soon. We're making this baby's world as safe as I can possibly make it, and we're building the life my mother dreamed of, the one she never got to have." "In that order?" I laughed through tears. "In whatever order you want, amore mio, as long as you're by my side." We married 2 weeks later in a small ceremony at the community center, Sister Margaret officiating. My mother cried happy tears, and even Alessandro's hardened men looked touched. The reception was larger, a necessary political event where Alessandro's allies came to pay respects and see the woman who'd changed him. I wore white, carried lilies, and promised to love a man who was equal parts darkness and light. Alessandro promised to honor, protect, and cherish me, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. When we kissed, sealing our vows, I felt complete in a way I'd never imagined possible. Our daughter was born 7 months later, perfect and healthy, with Alessandro's dark hair and my blue eyes. We named her Lucia, after the grandmother she'd never meet, and watching Alessandro hold her for the first time, this man who'd killed without hesitation, cradling our child with infinite tenderness, I understood that love could transform anyone, even monsters, especially monsters who wanted to be men again. Years passed. We had 2 more children, a son named Marco, after the driver who'd protected me from the beginning, and another daughter we called Sophia. The penthouse filled with toys and laughter, with birthday parties and homework sessions, with all the ordinary chaos of family life. Alessandro's empire continued, but he'd shifted focus. More legitimate businesses, less violence, using his power to protect rather than destroy. He'd never be completely clean, but he tried. For our children, for me, for the man he wanted to be. My mother lived long enough to see all 3 grandchildren, to watch me graduate with my degree, to tell me she was proud of who I'd become. She passed peacefully in her sleep, 5 years after her diagnosis, and Alessandro held me through the grief, understanding loss in a way few others could. The Volkovs remained allies, mostly. The other families gave us respect and distance, and slowly, Alessandro built something resembling legitimacy, enough that our children could choose different paths if they wanted, could be something other than what their father had been forced to become. One night, nearly a decade after we'd met, I found Alessandro in the library, surrounded by our children. Lucia sat on his lap, reading aloud from a book while Marco and Sophia played chess nearby. The fire crackled, and for a moment, I just stood in the doorway, memorizing the scene. Alessandro looked up and smiled, that rare, genuine smile that transformed his whole face. "Come join us, amore." I settled into my usual chair, watching my family, and thought about the scared maid who'd lied about having a boyfriend to escape a dangerous man's interest, about how that lie had been the beginning of everything. Love, family, a life richer than any I'd dreamed possible. "What are you thinking about?" Alessandro asked later, after the children were asleep and we lay tangled together in bed. "About fate. About how one small lie changed everything. About how a woman in a gray uniform changed a monster into a man," he countered, pulling me closer. "You were always a man, Alessandro. You just needed someone to see it. And you were always extraordinary. You just needed someone to show you. We'd both been right, in our own ways. And we'd both been transformed by finding each other. 2 people who should never have connected, building something beautiful from impossible circumstances." Years later, when Lucia asked how her father and I met, Alessandro would laugh and tell her the truth, that her mother had lied to him on the very first night, and he'd fallen in love with her courage, that sometimes the best things in life start with fear and end with forever. And I'd add that sometimes monsters just need the right person to see their humanity, that love doesn't always make sense, doesn't always follow rules, doesn't always come in packages we recognize. But when it's real, when it's true, it transforms everything it touches. The ring Alessandro had given me so many years ago still sat on my finger, the sapphire catching light. It had been joined by a wedding band, by the weight of the years, by the life we'd built together. I'd started as a maid who'd lied about having a boyfriend. I'd become the wife of New York's most dangerous man, the mother of his children, the keeper of his heart. And I wouldn't change a single moment of the journey that had brought us here. Not one. "I love you," Alessandro murmured against my hair, his arms secure around me. "I love you too," I whispered back. "Forever." And in the darkness of our bedroom, surrounded by the life we'd created from impossible beginnings, we held each other close and dreamed of all the tomorrows still to come.